What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Daytona 500 Top 5 DFS Picks video for Sunday, February 20th, presented by PrizePicks. I'm your host, Chris Pennell. You can find me on Twitter at ChrisPennell16. And today we are going over general track strategy, how to approach this slate from a DFS perspective, and my top 5 favorite DFS plays on the entire slate. Also, make sure to tune in to the strategy and live before lock shows this weekend for more in-depth NASCAR coverage. So when it comes to NASCAR DFS, every track has a unique strategy to it, and Daytona is the wildest of them all. Reason being is that this is a massive track, and they will be punched up in a pack side by side going nearly 200 miles per hour for 500 miles. It only takes one slight error or one dumb move like we saw in the duels on Thursday from Joey Logano for a car to get turned and take out half the field. This is known as the big one, and it is a common theme here at Daytona. With that being said, the best way to approach roster construction here is to mainly pick drivers starting in the back, or as I like to call it, stacking the back. Now, this is a wildly accepted way of approaching a DFS slate here at Daytona, so it's not like you're going to be the only one doing this, but the best way to go about it in cash games is mainly picking drivers that are going to be very high owned, starting in the back, which offer you very safe floors, but in tournaments, you can start kind of inching closer to the front of the field in mid-pack, where the drivers do have a little bit more downside, but do have very high ceilings and can potentially win races. And stacking the drivers in the back does mitigate your risk, as their floors are much higher than anybody in the front. Reason being, a guy starting in the very back around 38th to 40th place can only lose so many points if they happen to be the first guy that wrecks out. We're talking potentially finishing with around 1 to -1 points. Meanwhile, if a guy like Kyle Larson or Alex Bowman wreck out starting in the front row, we're talking close to -40 points. So really, you're setting yourself up with a very safe floor, and the ceiling is immensely higher than anybody starting in the front as well. So getting into the picks, starting with number 5, we have Noah Gragson, number 62 of Beard Motorsports. He's only $5,300 on DraftKings at a very cheap $3,500 over on FanDuel. And he is starting in nearly the very back in 39th place, and there's only 40 cars. So there's only one spot he could potentially lose on Sunday. And this is purely just a load up on the driver starting in the back play. He has never been a Cup time regular as of yet, as he's only 23 years old. But the 62 car in the past with Brendan Gunn has shown it can compete at super speedways, as he has always been a staple of my lineups the past few seasons when he has raced at tracks like Daytona and Talladega. And the starting position does ensure an extremely safe floor and a high ceiling as well. And not that price really matters here that much, but it's really hard to beat only $5,300 and $3,500 on FanDuel. And then moving on to number 4, we have Daniel Hemrick and part of the revolving door in the 16 car, which they're going to roll out 3 drivers over the course of this season. But he's for Colleague Racing, $7,000 on DraftKings, $6,000 on FanDuel. And he's another driver that hasn't really been a frequent in the Cup Series, besides a stint a few years ago that didn't really pan out that well. But Colleague has been able to perform very well at super speedways, especially his teammate Justin Haley. But Hemrick has had some solid runs in the Xfinity Series at them recently, does have a win, some top 5s and top 10s under his belt. I think if he and his teammate Justin Haley can keep their noses clean and work together, they should be in for a very solid race. And Hemrick is starting near the very back in 33rd place. And for number 3, we have the number 3 car, Austin Dillon of RCR, $8,400 on DraftKings, $8,000 on FanDuel. Another driver starting outside the top 35, which means he's going to offer you a ton of place differential upside on Sunday. He had issues coming to the pits and during the dual race, but it should not concern you, even though he is starting in the back of the pack. He is a polished plate racer. He's a former Daytona 500 champ, so he definitely knows his way around this track, and he should have no problem at all working his way towards the front of the field. And he has finished inside the top 12 the past 5 plate races. And before we get into our next pick, I want to mention our sponsor, PrizePicks. They offer daily prop-based contests. Use promo code Awesemo for a $100 first match deposit bonus. No sharks, optimizers, or mass entries. 5-player lineups can add up to 10 times your entry fee. Use your knowledge of multiple sports with cross-sport entries. Download in the App Store, on Google Play, or on prizepicks.com. Use our free player props tool to help make your best selections. Get 1 free month of Awesemo plus Platinum when you sign up and make a deposit at PrizePicks. You'll receive an email within 24 to 48 hours after to redeem your free month of Awesemo plus Platinum. And coming in at number 2, we have Aric Almirola, number 10 for Stewart-Haas Racing. Another driver starting near the very, very back in 38th place, $8,000 on DraftKings, $8,200 on FanDuel. He's another guy that had issues in the duels, but it's not something that should concern you whatsoever. He's in an elite spot, be a top tier place differential driver, and he's actually a pretty good plate racer. Now, he does tend to get caught up in the mess quite a bit, especially more so at Daytona than Talladega, but that's more so bad luck than anything else. And if he's able to stay clean, hopefully right around the back for the majority of this race, avoid the wrecks, and end up getting a top 15, top 10 finish, he's gonna be one of the best plays this weekend over on DraftKings and FanDuel. And finally, my number one DFS play of the entire weekend. It's no other than one of the hottest drivers in the series at super speedways. Now, he is very expensive, but again, pricing is not that much of an issue at a plate race, as you can tend to leave a lot of salary on the table. But it's Denny Hamlin, and he has had a ton of plate racing success. Just a couple seasons ago, he had an average finish inside the top 3 at all 4 plate races, which is kind of unheard of. And a lot of success at plate races is due to luck, but some of these guys just have the it factor at plate races, and Denny Hamlin is definitely one of those guys. He can control the pack when he's up front, and he can navigate his way through the field quite easily when he is in the back. He did spin out in the pits during the duels, leading to this far back starting spot, but getting an elite super speedway driver starting in 30th place is very hard to pass up. And so to recap, we have 5, Noah Gragson, number 4, Daniel Hemrick, number 3, Awesemo Dillon, 2, Aric Almirola, and number 1, Denny Hamlin. And if you're looking for more in-depth NASCAR coverage this weekend, make sure to check out the strategy show with myself and Phil, and the Sunday Live Before Lock show with Phil, Jason, and myself. And make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy the content here, and we'll be back with you more throughout the season.